Okay, so I'm just getting my morning cup of tea ready to go. Using some loose leaf tea. And as you can see, we got the good old Moccona jars of storage in the background and the little compost bin. So that was 1.5. It's right next to a mug for a size comparison. That's actually an old candle holder that's been turned into a little glass. I've got a lot of extra pulpy bit that I can cook up a syrupy thing with and use for something, or bake into a tea cake. So all that from, what was that, 1.5 of those oranges that were 50 cents each. So that lovely little refreshing glass of orange juice. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm using that mandarin peel and a little bit of sugar to make a caramelly mandarin flavoured sauce, just to go in the I'm calling it breakfast, but hey, if you want to have it as a dessert, go ahead. One thing that tends to happen is that when you're on a really tight budget like this, it's quite common that you're not actually in a position to have things like dessert or even, you know, snacks, other than something that's just designed to keep you going. Okay, so one thing you might notice about this is I've still got the little stalks on. I've done that on purpose. It just adds to the nutrition, really. It's a little bit of extra nutrition, and it doesn't actually do anything bad to the flavour, so I like to leave them on. You just needed to keep going, and the other side of it was that it was something that often you could still afford to share in some situations. You know, if somebody came over and was kind enough to do some work for you, then you might be able to give them, you know, something that wasn't too expensive, like soup or something along those lines, and then combine it with I mean, soup could be made out of all sorts of things, you know. Soup can be made very cheaply. There we go. Look at that. Yummo. It's a little bit burnt on a couple of spots, but I personally like that because I'm one of those people. So yeah, so they do biscuits, or a tea cake, which was actually quite cheap to make, and then a warm cup of something, depending on what they had on hand. So that's a tradition that when you're on a tight budget, depends on the kind of work you're doing. If you need something that's going to tide you over because you're doing a lot of physical labour, then it's definitely worth it. If you're not doing a lot of physical labour, then really you should be putting your money into nutrition, because that needs to be the priority.